And we're good. All right, call the meeting of the Woodstock Historic District Commission to order. I'm going to ask, let's see, I'm going to take notes at the same time. So 6:39. And we will, Pat, I'm going to appoint you as a regular member.
Okay.
And public hearing. We have public hearing tonight for 435 Route 169 for a roof and 556 Route 169 for a handrail. And both of the both are present. We're going to start with 556 Route 169. Margaret, representing Historic New England and Roseland Cottage.
Thanks, Gail. All right, I'm going to share my screen. I just put some images into a PowerPoint to kind of show what we're proposing here. I can. All right, everyone can see.
Yes.
Yeah, so as Gail said, my name is Margaret Back. I work with Historic New England as a preservation manager for our South region, which includes Roseland Cottage here. And we are looking at all of our sites with Historic New England to improve accessibility for our visitors, both to improve their experience and their physical safety in entering and exiting our properties. So we were looking at ways to improve accessibility here at Roseland Cottage, really focusing on our front entrance. This lovely symmetrical Gothic entryway. And for years, we've had issues with visitors struggling to get up the two front steps here, which are granite steps, kind of differing rise. They're quite a bit larger in person than they look in this photo. And visitors will typically kind of hold on to the siding or need a hand up to help get them through the front door. So in 2020, we hired an architect to kind of propose some different design recommendations for this entryway. I'll also say too that there's no other alternative entrance into the museum that doesn't require a similar set of steps. So we did really want to focus our efforts on the front entry just as the most equitable entrance for everyone to use. Our architect came back with kind of a twofold approach for accessibility, both the addition of a railing into the siding and then also a set of wooden overlay steps that would reduce the riser height that a visitor would have to step to get into the front entrance. So I'll just go over the railing and the step briefly. The railing here would be constructed either in bronze or in a stainless steel. That would be powder coated to resemble bronze with a volute at either end to grip onto. And it would be mounted into the siding through the use of two escutcheons with two threaded inserts in each escutcheon. The purpose of the escutcheon is really to prevent wood fatigue on the siding from repeated kind of use and also removal. The railing would be removable, and that would sort of be the intent of it, is that we could always take the railing off, and those escutcheons that you see in this image here look more of that plum trim color of the cottage. We would actually like to paint them the same pink color as the siding. So when the railing could be removed, you wouldn't be able to see the escutcheons as much as they would blend into the siding. And we would also be very cautious and careful when installing this, that the escutcheons would be placed between two battens to try to prevent any wood loss. And ultimately, you know, the siding is a sacrificial material. So in the future, if we wanted to remove the railing on a more permanent basis, we could make repairs to the siding where those escutcheons were mounted. The second component is the wooden overlay step. This would actually be free floating, but secured. It would not actually be installed into the granite step or into the wooden siding at all. It would be sort of scribed in underneath the water table. And if you were looking at the house from street view, you wouldn't even be able to see the step because it sort of would align into the side of the granite. So you would only see it if you were standing looking from the driveway approach. And our carpenter was actually on site today and sent me these photos. He had started to work on a mock-up and a kind of some field testing, some measurements of what we're hoping the step would look like if approved. And as you can see here, would be constructed in an African mahogany, which is a hardwood. It's very heavy. So there was no chance of this material slipping or sliding underfoot. We're still working through kind of color choices if we wanted to maybe stain this a darker color, but still to be visually different from the granite, so no one would step off at all. But overall, we really see this addition as, you know, both an attractive feature for the building, but ultimately one that would improve visitor safety and visitor experience. That's about it, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you,
I
Margaret.
have no questions.
Sure.
Looks very well thought out.
And the technical part is nice to hear, but that's not really in the purview of our commission. So mainly we're interested in the view from the street.
Yeah.
And I think the impact is so minimal that I wouldn't see any problem with it as far as I'm concerned.
Margaret, in terms of water, impact of rain and all on it, Margaret?
So we're thinking about removing it seasonally for the winter. So we're hoping snow won't be an issue. I don't think snow would be an issue on the railing, but definitely on the overlay step, but that would be removed seasonally. Rain could be an issue. I mean, it is wood. It will only last a number of years. Luckily, mahogany is a pretty sturdy wood, and Drew is designing it to be, we're thinking of putting some type of coating on it to help protect it against rain. But it's definitely something that would need replacement probably after maybe 8 to 10 years.
Is there going to be, it's just literally slide in or drop in? Or is there going to be some kind of an adhesive to affix it to the granite?
No adhesive. It's very heavy. I tried to pick up just one half of it and it was a struggle. It's actually 2 separate pieces. Each step is one component and they screw in together. So in theory, site staff could unscrew it and remove each part one by one. But it pretty much just slots in underneath the water table quite tightly.
And if there's no, now what do I want to think of as, you know, if there's no sealant of any type, how is the fit against the granite tight enough that you're not worried about the impact of water getting in underneath it or at all?
Yeah, I wasn't too worried about that, but I see your point, Gail. I'm not expecting any water to sort of hold up against the siding at all, the wooden part of the siding. But that's definitely something I could continue to talk with our carpenter Drew about. If you maybe wanted to put some type of a vent maybe on the bottom portion of the step to allow for air to get through.
I'm only wondering about, you know, if water is water, so it seeps in, it gets in every tiny opening. And if it builds up underneath, mahogany is pretty solid and heavy duty, but I'm just wondering about if it builds up underneath, is there going to be you know, shifting? Is it possible it would, I don't know about mahogany's ability to expand and contract in dry and wet conditions. Is it possible we're going to you'd end up with a gap that might be an issue?
I don't think so, but it's definitely something we could keep an eye on, and it could turn into something that our carpenters could come out and address if it became an issue. And ultimately, since it's a 2-part design, were the step to get damaged in some way, be it water, be it something else, the railing would still be there. So ultimately, visitors would still have the assistive device of that, if not the steps too.
Can you go back to that slide where it showed the mock-up in place? Yeah, so right there where you have that drip edge trim, I don't know how much space is there. The only question I had is if a tripping hazard of somebody catching their foot on that edge of that trim. That was my only concern. Like Stan said, I agree. If it's out of the view from the street, I don't think the stairs are even an issue. You guys work out the best way for that. I just think the only thing really in view from the street is the railing. But I would just be concerned about the possible trip hazards, somebody tripping on that trim right there.
No, thank you. That's a very good point. I guess I'd only say this trip hazard's probably already there, but maybe it could be slightly more now. Hopefully with the railing being there too, there's still going to be extra stability added. But that's something I could keep talking about with our carpenter, trying to think of a way to.
Yeah, just thinking that if you have people utilizing that railing, that they're gonna be using those steps specifically, and that just brings it closer to that edge.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't want to see anything happening. Maybe there he could snug something so kind of covers those edges up for you. Maybe it keeps the water away from it a little better. Just a thought.
No, thank you.
I think the handrail is gonna keep people from getting that close to that drip.
Yeah, how far out, Margaret, does the handrail extend from the side of the building?
Out from the building, or it's
It's
I can just look at
projected. So it's attached to the side there with the escutcheons.
mhm.
So it's the gap between the handrail and the building is how far?
It's about 3 to 4 inches. We're still working with a fabricator on the actual dimensions right now. But it should be about 3 to 4 inches out.
About the same amount as the trim.
Mhm.
Again, those issues aren't really the purview of our commission, so.
Yep.
The handrail would be because of it's an addition, something that's added to the building. And so,
Oh, I know, but all the stuff about the step
right,
being
Yeah,
waterproof.
like
and
I
all
said,
that
Stan,
stuff.
I completely agreed with you that the steps aren't within view. I was just commenting about the safety aspect, just as an opinion. I think like what you said is that the railing is the only real thing that's in the street view.
Mhm.
So,
although we have to assume potentially that there's some stair that's visible from the sidewalk, perhaps, probably not, but we operate under the assumption that there's a part of it that is at this point. But it's a really nice design. It shows a lot of effort and care taken, put into trying to come up with a really smart, sympathetic design. Harold, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, but I think it's a very thoughtful design and looks good to me.
Karen?
I agree. It looks very thoughtful. A lot of effort's gone in to make it aesthetically as pleasing as possible. And the safety benefits are very apparent.
Yep, it's a real excellent. All right, if there are no further, I'd say I should ask any questions from George. I believe you're the only member of the public who's there. No? All right, if there are no other questions from commission members, then I will take a motion to close the public hearing.
I so move.
second,
Patrick, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain? All right, then discussion, and also we should note that for the purposes of voting on the application, I am abstaining.
Okay,
Or recusing myself is what I should say. But so at this point, Margaret, it's just a discussion amongst the commission members, so you can relax. Commission members, any discussion?
Not from me.
I think
Yeah.
we've covered it.
I do too.
All right. Then if there are no questions, then let's see, I will take motion regarding this application?
I'll move that we approve.
Second,
Is there any discussion, further discussion? All in
Not me.
favor? All in-
I,
Aye.
Aye.
So I have been Stan, Harold, Karen, Pat, are you also approving?
oh, sure, why not?
Okay. And Gail's recused. Then motion is carried and the application is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. I think it's a really great, I think it's a great design. And speaking as someone who watches people struggle all the time with those, just looking at those steps, I'm hopeful that it will be a really good solution.
Us as well.
Yes, yes. So what I will do is I will figure out a way to sign the digital application and submit it both to the building official and then send you back a copy.
Great. Thank you, Gail.
Thank you. All right. Let me go back to my agenda. And next we have 435 Route 169, and that's Mr. McColgan for re-roofing.
Thank you, Gail. May I begin now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for allowing me to speak. I did want to apologize for a misunderstanding on my part to go back. First of all, I live in Florida full-time and have not been able to make it back to Connecticut because of my wife's illness, and so I'm her caregiver. And we own this property and have since 2007. It's principally a rental property, although the first floor apartment is ours when and if we get back. So I have some local contractors that I've dealt with. Formerly, I was a landlord in the area, so I have tradesmen that I've dealt with. My tenant on the second floor, and maybe I should just, may I share the screen?
Yes, please do.
Okay. Just this is the building in question. My tenant on the second floor, this is actually a two-family, was converted back in the 1940s, I believe. The building was built in the 20s. He noticed that after some of the fall rain that one of the closets, which is, kind of a half closet with the slope of the bedrooms, had some wetness there. So there was a lot of moss on the east side of the roof, not visible from here, facing the athletic fields. And I had a contractor come in and clear that out. And the wetness persisted, so I had another contractor come in and seal the valleys. The wetness persisted, and so at that point, it's repair or replace, and the repair wasn't working. So and I'm in Florida, so I had prior dealings with JPV Roofing, Jeff Vigent out of Oxford, and he had actually done my son's roof down in Sprague a year or two ago, and did an excellent job at a reasonable price using Owens Corning. And so I asked him to quote, and he did. And it was actually difficult to get a hold of the Chateau Green. The existing shingles, which were well aged, were also green. They were 3-tab, the non-architectural style that was common 30 years ago when they were probably installed. He was not able to get any 3-dimensionals or three tabs. So he was able to get Chateau Green architectural shingles, installed them on November 30th of 2021. Of course, we're right up the street from Town Hall. Well, you guys are at 415 and we're at 435. So I think the building inspector drove by and said, oh, something's going on here. So he spoke to the contractor who called me, and so I submitted a building permit application and an application through the Historic District Commission. And then I paid for the building permit fee the next day. A friend of mine in the area came down and delivered a check. So I thought I was all set. I apologize. I did not know that I was supposed to go to a hearing and present or discuss the deal. Quite frankly, when the roof was leaking, and winter was setting in, and I was lucky to get this guy to come in and basically do it in one day, start to finish, before the weather closed in. I felt grateful that I was able to seal it up and solve the problem that my tenant was having. So did you, by any chance, Gail, stop by Town Hall? Did you see the shingle which my tenant had dropped off with Cindy Bellerose yesterday?
Yes, Stan has the sample of the shingle with him, so
Okay,
can-
good.
he's able to, although it's just a slice of shingle.
Okay. Well, I can, let me see if I can get out of this. I will see if
But
I
it's
can.
just, it's a basic architectural shingle
It's
that,
a basic, yeah, it's a basic architectural shingle. Let me call up the. Here we are. Okay. It's, I don't have it there. There it is. Does everyone see that?
it hasn't,
And enlarged.
yeah, it hasn't enlarged. We just see the.
Oh, it
thumb.
hasn't. Oh, okay. Oh dear. Let's see. All right.
You probably have, you may have to share your screen again.
There it is. No, I got it. I got it. There it is. How's that?
There we go.
Okay. So that's a picture that my tenant took of the shingle that I think he brought down to Town Hall. It is the designation. It's Owens Corning duration Chateau Green, true definition architectural shingle. High contrast monochromatic hues. In other words, it's all green. They have other kinds that have different colors, but I mean, basically, when I made the decision to do it, the trim on the building now is green. It's got white siding, and so I certainly wanted to keep the shingles on the roof as green. This is it's a little darker than what was there because what was there is well worn. I can, if you wish, show a before picture, if that would help.
That would be helpful. Yes, thank you.
Okay, let me do that. So stop share. And okay, and you probably are just seeing the small thing now, right? So I need,
Correct.
yeah. Okay. So here's that's the before. That was taken in 2014. And as you can see, it's a lighter green because that's a western exposure, and those have been up there. They were pretty worn out. When the guy took the moss off, I said, "How much life is there?" And he said, "Well, it might be a couple of years." But I think he was being optimistic. He didn't know what was going on underneath, which was that there was actually some leaking taking place underneath.
All right.
Okay.
So if you would leave that picture up, I
Sure.
think that would be helpful. And just in terms of questions about if you made any other changes, drip edge, any other flashing, any other changes when you had the new roof installed, or if all of the other elements other than the actual shingles remained basically the same.
The,
They can be
yeah.
new,
Yeah.
but
Right.
no significant change.
Right. The only changes would be spelled out on JPV's quote and proposal to me, which I believe accompanied my application. And so it's customary to, especially up north, to install water and ice shield down close to the gutter lines. So it's got 6 feet of, oh, that's not visible. It's underneath. And on all the eaves and on all the valleys. And he installed new 8-inch aluminum drip edge on the whole perimeter of the roof. Let me see. He had to put some new leading on the chimney. That was and he had to replace 4 different, well, you can't see it, but he had to replace some of the wood that was actually the roofing wood.
And I think I'm reading through what he wrote, and it was also replace all pipe, boots and vents, which is just like for like. Install 4-foot plastic Owens Corning ridge vent over the peaks of the roof
Right.
with cap shingles over that.
Was there a ridge vent before, or is a ridge vent new?
I believe there is. I think you can perhaps see it there in the picture that's showing.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to.
It,
I have one other picture we can try to take a look at that if you want.
Stan, does that look like a ridge vent?
Say
I mean,
again,
I know what a ridge vent looks like. It's hard to see it there.
what's the question?
We're wondering if it looks like there's a ridge vent along the top of this image.
Well, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
I don't know what else would make that dark line.
Right.
Right. So basically, George, it's merely, the change is just going from a 3-tab shingle to an architectural shingle.
Correct.
All right, very good. Commission members, questions for Mr. McColgan?
I don't have any.
No questions from Stan.
No questions here.
Good.
All right.
Do you want to see this? Because I brought it in.
All right.
Going in the trash can now.
Yeah.
Stan White, you are not Stan.
All right. Let's see. Margaret, you represent the public. So any questions or comments from the public? No. All right. Commission members, do you have any further questions or comments from Mr. McColgan? No.
I do not.
If not, then hearing none, then I will look for a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? No. All right, very good. Then at this point, Mr. George, what we're just going to deliberate here from a moment.
Okay.
All right. And I think, are we all, if we're all finished with being able to, looking at the screen, we can, George, very good. We can go back to ourselves. Good. Commission members, discussion?
Nope.
No, I think we're all set. Regards to what we said.
Yeah, I drove by there and you can't tell that one thing's been done or another thing, so I have no issues with it.
I haven't issue either.
All right. Then looking for a motion on this application.
Also move.
Second.
And is that, let's see, could you define the motion? Is that to approve?
Yes.
Okay. And that's Pat seconding. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, so unanimous. Very good. All right, you're good to go.
Thank you. Thanks for your helpfulness too. And I apologize again for my oversight.
It's not a problem. You're not alone in needing to do a project and by, not remembering. It's not a problem. And I think, like, as I said in the email to you, just remember that we can always call a special hearing
Mhm.
if timing is of the essence. That's as long as we can get a quorum together and we have enough time to a few days to notice it, we can put together a special meeting to be
Okay.
able to address something that's of urgency. And we also really, really encourage all the residents, if they're noodling about a project or look like they've got something coming up, to come in unofficially. We have a project consultation component of our meeting where it's just an informal discussion about a project to begin to figure out if there might be any issues that could arise over the project and try to keep everything within the regulations of the district. So we really want to develop a good working relationship with everybody who's within the district.
Good. Well, I do have a project coming up within a year. So that's good to know.
Yeah, just email me that you'd like to be on the agenda. And I said, it's not any kind of public hearing. It's just informal discussion about the project. So that you and the commission work together to make sure that your project goes forward within the parameters of the district.
Great.
Great.
Thanks again.
Thank you very
Nice
much.
seeing all of you.
And
Thank
hope-
you.
Bye.
enjoy the warm weather down there.
We will. Yes, it was down to 50 the other day. We were freezing. Put the coats on the dogs. So we're wimps down here. Take care.
We'll be thinking of you on Friday.
Don't get hit by any falling iguanas.
That's on the East Coast. We don't have them over here, just geckos.
Oh.
Thanks.
Not
George.
yet. Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Okay.
Next up on the agenda is review of minutes. If everybody's had a chance to take a look at the minutes that Earl sent out, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
I looked at the minutes and I will approve them. Also
I'll
move.
second that.
All right, Harold, is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good, unanimous. Correspondence, correspondence I've had correspondence with Historic New England, Margaret Back, and also with George McColgan regarding both of their applications. Public comment. Margaret, you're the only remaining public. Any comments? Okay, no public comment. Any other public consultations? Oh. All right, old business, the old business that we have to deal with is, the only one we have outstanding is, still working towards, making Harold an alternate member and Pat a full-time, a regular member. And I just need, as I mentioned to Harold earlier, I just need formal paperwork from both of you stating your desires to step up and step down. And then we've already approved it on the commission. So then I can just submit those with my formal request to the selectmen to go ahead and make those changes, and we'll be good to go. Does anybody have any old business that they wish to bring up?
None?
Not me.
All
No,
right.
I
New
was-
business,
Check
ahead.
in on, I was curious to check in on where things stand with the property up at Rusty Relic.
we will need to later this spring have them request that they come in for a discussion with us on all of the outstanding elements in terms of their applications.
Can, I would like to do this. I mentioned to you this before, Gail, but it was, during the holidays and everything. Because he lives right on the other side of my neighbors here, and I'm literally right down the road from him. Can I get a list of what is outstanding? Because I'd like to be able to go down and just have an informal conversation with him, see what we can get figured out easily to better the situation.
It's easy enough to be able to, I can send you, I can share with you copies of his applications and the minutes for the meetings that he did attend and the final determinations that we took on all of those, the items that were part of his application. So you'll know which items were approved, which were not, and which were left outstanding.
Yep. Yeah, if I just have pretty much out of that, I could break down a list of what is now outstanding to review with him. And
I think we should, as a commission, discuss whether if that casual conversation is appropriate, or if it should take place at a regular district commission meeting. What does
so
everybody
I'm
think?
curious of everybody else's thoughts on it. I would like to give my thoughts on it, that given the situation, I think taking place at a scheduled meeting, I don't think is going to be as productive as we would like it to be. Given the situation thus far, I'd like to be able to just go down, have a neighborly chat with a neighbor, and I think we'd see a much better result that way. Not everything, I don't think, in this situation or even with this commission has to be done so formally. And I think that can actually be a hindrance on some situations.
I can see you're thinking in terms of this particular situation. It makes sense. I don't think you should confront him with a full list of items that are outstanding.
My idea is for the items that are outstanding, to go down and have a chat with them. I will not make any decision on behalf of the district commission. but I'd like to have a conversation. If we could solve some things easily enough that we already know that the commission would like to see, great, you know? Otherwise, all it does is improve communication and information.
Mhm. What do other commission members think?
My question is the selectmen or the still unwilling to back us up with the town attorney or however that works? If we don't have any teeth, what kind of progress can we make?
Well, I mean, the ordinance and the regulations that define us say that give us the authority to require that the applications and our decisions be fulfilled. And on paper, the town should support that. The town will, and as we should, will always look for the optimal outcome, which is one of conversation, and even if it takes 5 years, conversations to work with the homeowner to resolve issues. And that's the optimal, rather than going for any kind of punitive action that just causes ill will.
And any sort of, correct me if I'm wrong, any sort of punitive action is taken place through building and zoning, correct?
Correct.
Do we know if he took a building permit for the ramp and the porch?
I believe he did, because I believe that fire marshal was also out there checking such things as well.
Yeah, I remember that.
So what's outstanding currently are final approval on the changes to the porch, the ramp, and the rain garden has not been installed. So I don't know where we don't know where that stands. And
He also didn't do the screening, planting in front of the ramp.
in front of, yeah, none of the landscaping has been done. And the approval was granted with the stipulation that a lot of the large decorative items not be installed on buildings. And that has been ignored.
In order for that to not be ignored, and if you want to bring that to attention, I have talked to you about this before, because if somebody looks up the regulations for the state or federal historic district, it doesn't specifically regulate decorations on the building, however long-term it may be. For that, we need how it's written for Woodstock specifically.
Well,
to be
the distinction, Pat, is that if, for example, a large sign is installed on one of the buildings, it becomes part of the fabric of the building. It's not a Christmas light, or it's not Christmas decorations, for example, Christmas lights that are put up and taken down. It's something that is there permanent, at this point, permanently, it looks like. And it'd be the same as adding shutters to the building, to windows that had not previously had shutters. That's the way we are supposed to consider it. What makes it difficult is attempting to convey to people that distinction, that a giant 7-foot gasoline sign is in fact equal to shutters on a
Well,
building.
I think that the town language still needs to be seen and presented, because to the state and to the federal, it specifically regulates structures, right? And under which is additionally signage. So this is a sign, so I understand that you could look at it from that way. And structure being anything that can contain something or keep something out. Your stone walls considered a structure, your fence, a gate, a building. Something on the building, that's where the town differs from the state and federal. That's why I think that language just needs to be shown.
Mhm.
Well, to add to the list, he never filed an application for those gates at the end of his driveways.
Correct.
That's another thing.
Correct. Those are outstanding. And I have been contacted a couple of times about the Sasquatch that is on the south field, the north field.
But again, and it's not in state or federal regs, so it's in the town regs. Where does it say that he can't do that? I'm playing devil's advocate here because it doesn't say that in the state or federal regs. Where is that in our own language? And also, it makes it a lot harder to be serious with people in this situation when they may look down the road at somebody that still has a swimming pool that's still within view. And you know how people work, and they're going to say, well, why do I need to do this when they didn't do that?
Right. And the answer is that no one instance, no one house, no one structure, no one property sets precedent for any other. That we take every property and every residence, every building and location as an individual site, contributing to the overall character defining character of the district. Now, the biggest issue, the biggest problem, I think, with this particular case is that there are two pieces to it. There's the one piece of the decorative items, and the Sasquatch and the wagon and all, that really seem trivial up against the ramp, the porch, the changes to the porch, the plantings and rain garden, and the gates.
I agree.
So it is, I think, and for us to work with in thinking this through and how best to go and how best to resolve this, it seems to me that if we put too much emphasis on the lesser items, if we lump it all together, we are in danger of never resolving any of it. And that we have to focus on those pieces of this whole project that are the most significant, that really need our attention. Harold,
So
your
what does
thought?
anybody
I was-
else have for me
Yeah, I was-
going in?
I want to hear a little bit from Karen and Harold.
I have a question or an observation. I don't think he should go as a representative of this group, but he can go as a neighbor and not discuss all of these items, but in a friendly, civil manner.
Harold, that's what I was thinking too. I mean, it's a neighborly thing to do. Sure, Pat, you've talked to them before, so you have some sort of a relationship. And I just think as a friendly neighbor, just asking, before the commission gets upset or questioning, can you tell me what do you plan on doing? Just a little bit as a neighbor to neighbor.
But by going down there and even asking such questions, I am
Mhm.
going as a representative. Just like anyone with a function with the town, they show up somewhere, they are representing that committee that they're on or that department they work with.
But what's to say a person who is just a public member is just curious and
Right.
asking?
And that's fine, but I'm not just a public member. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would go down there. He knows I'm on the commission. I would go down there. And like I said, though, I obviously would not make any decision on behalf of the commission. It's more so of a gathering information to come back to the commission with. I can't make decisions. None of us can make
No.
decisions without the group.
Well, it's pretty hard to go down under the guise of a neighbor if he knows you're on the commission, because that just gives it away.
Yeah.
So you could simply ask him how he's coming with his plans to comply and have a little chat with him from that angle.
Yeah, I tend to agree with everyone that I think it's a bit of, it's a fraught thing to do, Pat. We need to talk to him. We need to establish some kind of working relationship with them that we haven't been able to establish.
And that's what I would be trying to do through this. With how things have gone, it just seems obvious to me doing it with our entire group with him has not worked thus far. I'm trying to build a bridge.
And we appreciate that. That's why I was thinking that perhaps your understand, if this was a way to go, your understanding of the outstanding items is good for you. It forearms you with what those issues are, but that I don't think you could go with a laundry list and try and deal with each of those. I think if you're going to build a relationship, it's the first one is not even discussing it. It's just seeing if you can have a casual conversation. And if you even went,
I do this.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, as you know, I do this every day for a living, and it's not always conversations in the most pleasant of environments when I'm at work and so on and so forth. But I believe I could go there and build a working relationship to be able to move forward through these issues. I really don't think the way that we've been doing it, as it shows, we haven't gotten results. So we got to figure out, not to exactly reinvent the wheel, but let's just use a different, approach.
We certainly have to try something different. Possibly it could be just a casual conversation about wondering if this spring is going to be a good time to start work on the rain garden, or one element. But I don't think tackling all the different outstanding items is.
To be honest, to me, the sign on the barn, the Sasquatch, like you said, that's at the bottom end. You know, if I get any sort of communication about, you know, these couple of items, great. That's more information than what we have right now.
What about, just occurring to me, what about if the conversation is more informative to him, to them, that conveying information to them that lets them know which elements of their project still need an application.
That's part of exactly of what I'm talking about. I would go down there to have a chat with them if I can hook up with them at some point, and I'll make the run down to the town hall and grab them a few blank applications for them to hand off to them. You know, it's just an extending a hand, you know.
Just as more
I
of an informal reminder that these items are, that there are some items that need an application.
Right. I mean, I don't think that that every situation needs to be overcomplicated. This isn't a complicated thing that I'm talking about doing. Like I said, I'm not going there to make decisions. I'm going there to have a discussion. And that's it.
Or to
when I-
confront. You're not there to confront.
No,
Exactly. I'm going there to have a conversation. I don't
Um,
enforce anything. I'm not confronting. I'm getting some information and talking to them. That's it.
Right.
I think a lot of people, and from what I've seen in other towns with other historical districts, people completely shut down to it is what they've heard about some historical district commissions. And it without even being involved in one yet, they have a certain feeling about it. You know what I mean? Without knowing all the facts or even knowing how this town operates or this town operates. It's really an informal thing. I don't really think we need to overcomplicate it. I just want to know, besides the items that we've already talked about, were pretty much the items that I already had in my head. I just wanted to know if there was something that I wasn't remembering, just so that I go, you know, I don't say with the armament, because that's not the way I look at it. I'm going with the info. You know, I'm not going looking for a conflict. I don't want to talk as if I'm going for a conflict. I'm going there with information.
All right, Patrick, so let's say you do this, and let's say he doesn't cooperate. At one of the last meetings with this guy, and our history with him points to the fact that he will not cooperate. One of our last public meetings, I suggested to the McClellans that what they needed to do was pressure their selectmen to back us up. And perhaps if you fail with this guy, our next step should be to walk up and down the whole historic district and talk to each homeowner and get them as a group to pressure our selectmen to back us up.
Yeah, I
And I
mean,
would go on that walk with you.
like I said, I'm not looking to go down there to even get to that point. And what we've done so far hasn't worked, going by a different approach. And I don't think knocking door to door like that, I don't even think that would be necessary if we had anything that ever needed the selectmen's input on. I think us going down to the town hall and knocking on the selectmen's door is the way to go.
Patrick, I think if you
If
went,
anything were to get to that point.
I think if you went, perhaps part of the information you could convey was the timing under which applications need to be submitted. So, and the explanation of the process that we have to go through, that is posting the legal notices, and they have to be so far ahead of time that so that they get in the newspaper X number of days ahead. that, so that it's just a friendly way of letting him know, maybe if we operate positively under the assumption that he will submit these applications, then your meeting is, your drop-in is just a reminder of the timeframes that is necessary, so that the district is able to, the commission's able to hear an application in a timely manner for the homeowner. That it can be, that there, you provide a good bit of information, helpful information, so that it doesn't appear that we are attempting to be, at this point, antagonistic. Since our previous dealings with him, despite our best efforts not to be antagonistic, not to be confrontational at all, to be nothing but helpful and friendly and willing to work, have still been perceived as antagonistic. You know, we're a pretty friendly bunch, but it wasn't, it's not been received that way.
I think it still should be neighborly, not the commission.
And it could be, I think that it could be, Pat, as someone who's just finished an application. From your, on your
Yes,
perspective.
you can call it that, but me going down there, talking to him about such and such stuff, he knows I'm on the commission, so like for my agency, it doesn't matter where I go, I represent my agency. You know what I mean?
Yes. What I agree with that, but instead of talking about X, Y, and Z, in the back of your mind, you know what X, Y, and Z are, but instead you talk to him about, and it can be part of the information we're trying to get out to every homeowner at this time of year as they all begin to contemplate projects, that it's good to get the application at the beginning of a month so that it can go through the building official, get to the commission so that the legal notices can get submitted. It's just basic. It's just a it's the kind of reminder we pre-COVID were trying to do with everybody when we tried to go around to everybody's house, knock on the door and say hi, and just reminding you of what we do. So rather than approach item by item with him, just keep those in the back of your mind and instead talk about the logistics of, assume he's going to put in applications, and talk to him about the logistics, friendly about the logistics of the application. And see if
Do we
that,
as a commission need to authorize or not authorize Patrick to do this?
I think we need to be in a consensus. I don't think we need to authorize, but I do think we need to really be comfortable. This can be, we need to be
For
comfortable
example,
in
there
what we
needs to be
think
an
Pat is going to do.
I don't think there needs to be an authorization, because anytime someone calls Gail on the phone to ask her questions about something,
No.
nobody,
No.
it's the same thing.
Right. So this is the same as if they'd stopped Pat on the street, or, happened to see him out and stopped in and chatted with him. And he's just providing some friendly feedback and information. But we have to all be comfortable with that.
Well, to move things along, I'll join Harold and Karen and agreeing with Patrick to make a friendly visit. We'll see what happens.
I mean, the worst he can say is no, I don't want to talk about it.
Mhm.
And then we're nowhere, behind than we are now.
Right.
Actually, you're ahead because you know that he's going to put up a fight or he's just not going to respond, and it's going to make preparing ourselves, I guess.
My sense of it is that I'll be able to have a conversation just fine with the little bit that I've talked to him in the past.
Mhm.
And
Good.
they knew about, they were very excited about moving into the historic district when the whole thing from the very beginning. It's just the logistics and
Right.
a few, and a little bit of the tightening of some of the thing. The fact that we impose certain requirements on some of their requests that met with opposition. But both of them, Jamie and Jason, were both excited about being a part of the
Mhm.
district. So I think at the heart, I think that some of it is just not quite understanding about being in the details of living in the district, and a little bit of unfortunate input from outside that has colored their understanding of how the commission operates. But
Right.
so if Pat can casually, I think that's the word, casually go about reestablishing lines of communication, then we'll be a step ahead.
I
I will
agree.
eagerly look forward to our meeting next month to see how it goes, Patrick.
Right.
Oh, thanks, Dan. The in addition to this, because I had mention to it, at some point, I think somebody needs to talk to Bob down the road about the above ground swimming pool. And we need to have communication with them about new plantings going in, or a lattice fence or something to block that view from the street.
Are you talking about Tremblay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been an ongoing thing, and it keeps on being brought up in general discussion about, well, why should I do this? Or why should so-and-so do this when this is there? And I understand, Gail, that you're saying every place is different, but still we need to have a level of
Yes.
fairness across
Yeah.
the board.
And when we had talked to them about the plantings, that they had put plantings in, which then died. And so they had said they were going to replant or see if the things that they had put in were going to come back up. So as we come out of winter into spring would be a good time to revisit that with them.
And that might be just like Pat's doing. I know them a little bit and we have a kind of rapport. Just, ask him how the plannings are coming along.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. And another issue that we have to deal with is, we've already brought it up, is the discussion with the academy about the loss of all the plantings that shielded the parking lot behind the church
Mhm.
from the north approach. So it's already been mentioned to them within the past few months, but that should be revisited.
Mhm.
I'm curious because of how they were destroyed. I believe it was from snow plowing that previous plantings were killed, correct?
Let's see, Chris Sanford said that what happened was all the snow got plowed onto all the plantings and all the baby trees and just killed them.
Yeah.
Is the edge of that parking lot right there, is that pretty much right on the property line? Do we know?
Don't know. I don't know.
I'm just curious if they're offset a little bit.
Sure, there's,
little-
it's a matter of if we discuss it with, that's another, we bring it up with them. Now is a good time so that they can budget that plan, they can work that plan in for spring, which is a good time to put these in. Then they can, it's up to them to figure out a solution for how to plant and not have to do it annually.
And there's a good chance the budget yet has not been finalized yet for the next school year. So it might be an opportune time to bring that
That one.
discussion up.
That one I can take on that one to just send a quick note to Chris Sanford and just a reminder is that we're going over some odds and ends, and
Mhm.
that one
Yeah.
came back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, Chris really
Oh,
wants
and
to work with
he does, he is,
so
and the work,
it's,
yeah, and the work that they've done on they're doing on the old academy building is just
it's gorgeous.
outstanding.
That's right.
Outstanding. Yeah.
That's right.
So, yeah. All right. And, we really, a lot of the contact has been really seriously curtailed because of COVID. It's just, you can't just stop in and have a conversation with somebody for the most part anymore.
Right.
Haven't been able to for 2 years, and that really makes it more difficult. We can't go door to door and rap on the door and go into somebody's house and just reintroduce ourselves and answer questions and all. It has changed the way in which we interact with all the residents within the community. So,
Speaking of odds and ends, up at the top of Child Hill Road, there is the sign for the antique shop in the middle of Child Hill Road.
mhm.
She had passed away.
Mhm.
That sign is still there. I believe her son is, from what I heard, moving into that house.
If we
But
just,
something should be done with that sign.
yeah, we just need a way to connect with somebody.
Yeah.
So, and I think eventually that connection will find a way, and then they'll probably take this sign down. So, all right. New business, anyone?
I have none.
All right, then I will look
Yes,
for a
ma'am.
motion to adjourn.
I-
Move.
Second.
Let's go.
Okay, I got Stan and Harold first. Anybody, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, twice.
Okay, thanks, everybody, for a very good meeting.
You're welcome.
And I hope everybody, have a good time snowmobiling. The rest of us hope we don't have too much to shovel. And,
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
oh, that's right, that's right.
That's right.
Yep. And I'll see you all about, I think it's usually a match, so it will be probably March 23rd.
Yep.
For our
Yep.
next meeting.
Yep.
All right.
Outstanding. Good night,
Sounds good.
everyone.
Good
Good
night,
night,
everyone.
everybody.
Good night.
Take care.
Yep, good night.